right, and a good morning to you. I trust you had a fantastic Monday. Today is a Tuesday, the 15th day of July. You know, days are really flying really fast, and I trust your Tuesday morning is going along well as much as ours right here on this morning show. Good morning. This is hashtag Y in the morning. My good name is Sakwa, and today being Tuesday, it's all about matters, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And I promise you for free, stick around because we have an interesting lineup of guests that will be coming through to share with us their different perspective on different topics, and as well as towards the tail end, we'll be having an up close and personal with a prominent artist, I'd say, for that matter, who went through a lot of trials and triumphs. He'll be telling us his journey from fall, from grace to grass, and then rebuilding. So we'll be talking about that and much more. But for now, do yourself and I a favor by finding us on our socials, and that include Facebook, Instagram, and the rest, including X at Y254 channel with the hashtag, which is Y in the morning. In just a bit, they'll be loading a post for the day, and I'd love to see your feedback and your reactions on it because we love each and every time you interact with us because that's what we're here for. Now, I'm just about to tell you what's trending, what's hot, and what's not in just a bit. And right here I have the copy of the Daily Nation. I have a photocopy of the Daily Nation. The splash on the Daily Nation is reckless talk. Good Lord. Talks about with just over 2 years to the next general election, some politicians associated with the Kenya Kwanza administrations have started sowing seeds of discord with utterances about rigging the 2027 presidential contest. The new IEBC team has announced their claims while opposition leaders want action taken on the offenders. And of course, those were Woman Representative Fatuma Jeho, who literally trended for her sentiments that was met with a lot of public uproar as well. Down there, they're talking about Lagat resumes office as bid to stop return flops. Inspector General Eliud Lagat, right there, there's a photo of him, but then there's a wide photo of a Doors of Music pupils of Moses Kiptanui Primary School in Uasin County perform at Marakwet Folk Dance during the close of the 97th edition of the Kenya Music Festival's Rift Valley Regional at Langa Langa Secondary School in Nakuru City yesterday. Oh, I had forgotten Nakuru is a city. Yeah, just to let you know for your info, Nakuru is a city. Winners will proceed to the national to be held in Meru County next month. Interesting. Congratulations. This has reminded me of Butere Girls' Shackles. Oh, it was Echoes of War, not Shackles of Doom. Shackles of Doom, I think, was their previous play. All right. Standard talks about muzzled by state. It's highlighting the story of Njoki, who died in police custody. But they're highlighting a public servant in Nanyuki is living proof of the damage police brutality inflicted on society. Chief Martin Kariuki Rienya, father to Julia Ongui, the latest victim of deadly police violence while in custody, is now a broken man. From speaking to the media, he is trapped in a cruel dilemma, standing with grieving public demanding justice, or serving a government whose own officers caused his daughter's death. Oh, so it's the lady who died in police custody in Nanyuki is a daughter of a police serviceman, right there. Right. I don't want to mention the rest of the headlines because they're really explosive. But building from that story, yesterday we saw the protest in Nanyuki, and it turned chaotic. It was police running battles with residents. And I remember the grandmother coming onto the press to say they've killed her firstborn daughter and she's seeking for justice. But I don't know how protests nowadays are escalating. They start very well and then it turns chaotic towards, end of the day or middle of the day. But we trust justice will be served. But then there's an interesting update from April that talks about fuel prices have now been hiked from right here by Nation. It says more pain at the pump. Petrol, diesel, and kerosene prices are now up by 8 shillings and 89 cents, respectively 8 shillings and 67 cents and 9 shillings and 65 per litre. recently in the latest April review. Petrol to retail are at 186.31 cents, diesel at 171.58 cents, and kerosene at 156.58 cents in Nairobi. So paying at the pump, meaning that probably this could either way. Usually fares usually go high. Price of let's say local matatus or these public service vehicles. So they hike their fares when fuel is up. They also hike their fares. But then again, you're also likely to see price of these small commodities go up. And then especially as well when it comes to refilling the cooking gas, if you're the person who uses the small mutungi and the bigger mutungi gas, prices inanga juu, no matter, especially after they announce fuel hike. Now, away from that, there's a development from IPOA that denies clearing Director Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat of charges in the killing of Albert Ojwang in police custody. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has issued a statement following reports that DIG Eliud Lagat will be resuming official duty after he steps aside for 4 weeks ago on June 16th, following a public uproar over Ojwang's death in police custody at the Nairobi Central Police Station. While Lagat is expected to be back to work, IPOA says it has not cleared him of any charges linked to the brutal killing of the teacher Albert Ojwang. IPOA's statement was signed by the authority's chairperson Isaac Hassan and says, and part of the report, as reported through various statements, IPOA launched investigations into the late Ojwang's death in police custody on 8th of June 2025. Beg your pardon. Preliminary investigations identified that some suspects who have since been arraigned in court, and quote-unquote down there it adds, investigations are still active, and therefore the report that the authority has exonerated Mr. Lagat are misleading, and if investigations find him culpable, IPOA will make appropriate recommendations to hold him account. The last part, if found culpable. Yes, if found culpable. All right, this is another interesting story that was shaking the news headlines. It was from an update from NACADA, and it says NACADA. But anyways, this is a reaction from one of the artists, and that is Bien from Sauti Sol. This is what he said. NACADA now proposes banning on alcohol advertising online sales and wants to change the legal drinking age to 21. The government recently banned advertising of baiting. These bans affect creative and advertising industries heavily. What is this fake morality pretending to care about the very youth they are killing? Singer Bien now proposes banning alcohol advertising and online sales and wants to change the legal drinking age to 21. That's NACADA. The government recently banned advertising of baiting. These bans affect creative and advertising industries heavily. Right, so they've announced for you to be maybe because is drinking in public allowed? I don't think so. Drinking in public, you are likely to be, I'd say, arrested for public misconduct or misconduct, yeah? But they're saying from right now, henceforth, for you to grab a bottle of your favorite alcohol brand and celebrate watu wa sheria, you must at least be 21. It reminds you when that there's clubs for you to enter and have a good time. You must at least be 21, yeah? I don't think it's usually below that. I've not seen any club, especially, and I'm not promoting club life, but yeah, the Sharia people, if you want to, at least. But from a conversation debate I was seeing yesterday, there's one of the ladies who was saying, let it be a personal choice so that you don't, directly infringe on people's, rights or freedom of expression and whatnot. Because also, if you can afford alcohol, it means you have the money, right? You've worked either for the money or you have means that give you the money to go and buy alcohol. And it also reminds me of people that, don't go to clubs to drink. So what happens to now people who drink in their private homes? Should that be maybe the next approach? So don't go to the club, buy your whatever booty and, close yourself indoors and have a good time. So, but yeah, henceforth moving forward. So if you see any 18, 19, 20-year-old with a bottle of the liquor, especially they call it what? The colored juice, grab it away from them, because they're not legally allowed to do that, okay? And that's just according to NACADA. It's in charge of managing drugs and regulation and also monitoring. Now, a DCI son is among those killed by anti-riot police as death toll from Sabasaba protest hit 43. The death toll from last Monday's Sabasaba protest has risen past 43, according to the latest data from Haki Africa. Among the new statistics is a teenage son of a DCI officer stationed in Meru County who was shot in Nanyuki on Monday. He died days later. The new data is as follows. So the people who died in Sabasaba, in total from different counties, the 10 counties that I believe were the hotbed of what exactly transpired during the Sabasaba Mandamanos. Nairobi is leading with 10 people who are shot and killed. Kiambu comes second with 9 people. Murang'a 5, Embu 5, Meru 2, Nakuru 2, Nyeri 2, Kirinyaga 2, and then lastly by Laikipia 2. So these deaths are tripling day by day. Some of them are still admitted in hospital pending even post-mortems, because for the 17-year-old boy who was shot in Ongata, I know someone who was close. They were told they cannot do an autopsy because I believe the body is still at Nairobi funeral home, formerly City Mortuary. So they were told they can't do a post-mortem or an autopsy unless they seek an OB from the nearby police station. And something dramatic that's happening is they never allowed them to have the OB number, so they can't do the autopsy without the OB number. And then those as well that are admitted in hospitals, there's those that are severely wounded that they can't operate on them and remove the bullet because the bullet is touching on sensitive nerves or sensitive parts of the body, like the guy who was shot. I think his last name is Mandela in Ongata, and he was speaking to media. He spoke, I believe, to Ode Francis of Citizen TV, and he was telling him he even had no idea that he had been shot, and the mother was there also trying to explain the dramatic events that led to him, finding a bullet on his left arm. Yeah, so he's not been operated. He's still living with the bullet. And I remember as well, a couple of months ago, Jeff Koinange in his JKL Live, he interviewed guys who had been affected by protests. There's one of the dudes who I think he has a bullet still lodged on his leg, and the doctors told him they can't remove it because if they do, it might touch on other sensitive tissues of the body. So it's an intense surgery and it needs a lot of, I'd say, medical care and attention. So, and there's those who are still recovering in hospitals, and all we can say is we wish them the best of luck. Now, let me switch to the Capital News right here. The Capital News top story talks about KQ announcing phase return of grounded Dreamlines from July 22nd. July 22nd is by, I think, next week, right? Next week, Tuesday or Monday, I believe. All right, KQ announces first return of grounded Dreamliners from July 22nd. Group Managing Director, CEO Alan Kilavuka said the first of the grounded Dreamliners is scheduled to resume operations on July 22nd, marking a significant step in restoring the airline's long-haul capacity. In a statement released on Monday, the Group Managing Director, Alan Kilavuka, said operations will be marking a significant step in restoring airlines' long-haul capacity. And quote-unquote, the statement reads, beg your pardon, this is a significant milestone for our fleet and operations. The return of the Dreamliner will not only alleviate the capacity constraints that had shrunk by 20% due to the grounding, but also enhance our capacity to back at least 85%, ensuring a smoother travel experience for our customers. The second aircraft is expected to return to service by September 25th, with the third scheduled for December 19th. And to further boost capacity, Kenya Airways also revealed plans to introduce 3 narrow-body aircrafts, which will be adding up to the 528 additional seats and expand a belly cargo capacity by 239% by the final quarter of 2025. The CEO, Alan Kilavuka, acknowledged that the recent operational challenges faced by the airline, including flight delays, cancellations, and schedule disruptions, attributing many of these to delayed parts delivery, which had kept planes grounded longer than expected. He also thanked KQ's technical team and partners for their dedication in restoring Dreamliners, and also praised employees for their continued service with genuine African hospitality. I have one of my, in brackets, besties who works at KQ. I think right now she was doing domestic flights, but she was telling me when you become, we actually studied journalism, but here she found herself alipata ninia akakuwa flight attendant. So she told me there's a way you rise in ranks. So she works with the KQ. So she was doing the route here, Kenya to, she was even describing the types of flights. Alisema she was doing a Bombardier from January last year to end of 2024. So she's risen in ranks. So she's now doing direct flights from, because recently they launched Gatwick, Kenya to London. Direct flight, so she's graduated. So I think that space is an interesting one, especially in the customer executive unit and being a flight attendant or a flight steward or stewardess. So she was telling me she's always flying in the air all the time, and you know, people who fly all the time, they're always in airplane mode, right? Then they're in the air and always in a plane. Interesting. All right, now Iran, is it Iran or Iran? Now, Iran envoy slams United Nations Security Council in action over Israeli aggression. The criticism follows a major Israeli assault on the June 13th, targeting key Iranian nuclear facilities and the killing of senior Iranian commanders and nuclear scientists. The criticism follows a major Israeli assault. Speaking to Press Ambassador Glampor condemned the United UNSC's inaction, particularly regarding Israel's continued attacks on Iranian targets and its military campaign in Gaza, which he described as illegal, disproportionate, and in violation of the United Nations Charter. He accused Israel of flouting international humanitarian law, especially the Geneva Conventions, which prohibit disproportionate use of force and attack on civilians. It reminds me of yesterday's report where Donald Trump is issuing, I think he's sending military to, no, I think he issued an order to, let me just get to it. Yes, here it is, I got it. He issued an order to Iran to do something with the military. Yes, here it is. Donald Trump says the U.S. will impose very severe tariffs on, it's on Russia, not Iran. Severe tariffs on Russia if there's no deal to end the Ukraine war in 50 days. So it's a bit of an ultimatum. In a meeting at the White House with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, the U.S. president said he wants to see the war in Ukraine end, and he's also disappointed with Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Trump also announced plans to deliver a top-of-the-line weapons to Ukraine via NATO, thus highlighted by the BBC. And you're actually seeing, countries just respond to these nuclear deals and, nuclear warfare rising up and, the bombings like what happened recently with Donald Trump standing with Gaza, with Israel, that is calling for a ceasefire. Something that's commonly picking up in some of these first world countries and also countries that pride themselves, quote unquote, as superpowers. All right, the next story as well here, it highlights about pain at the pump. Pump prices saw by 9 shilling average. I think I had highlighted this. According to EPRA's statement released on Monday, the maximum prices for period running from July 15th to August 14th, 2025 have risen by an average of 9 Kenya shillings per litre. That's across board. It also highlights EPRA adjusted the price of petrol up by 8 shillings and 99 cents per litre, with diesel going up with 8 shillings 67 shillings per litre. Kerosene will see the steep rise at 9 shillings and 65 cents per litre. In Nairobi, super petrol and diesel and kerosene will now retail at 186 and 31 cents, 171 and 58, 156 and 58 cents. effective last night, right? Because this is a story that has been published, yes, 8 hours ago, right? All right, the cost of imported super petrol rose by 6 shillings and 45 cents. Diesel 6 shillings and 27 cents, rather percent, and kerosene by 6 and 95% over the period. Now, April also reported a jump in the landed cost of super petrol from US dollars 590 and 24 cents a cubic meter in May to US dollars 628 and 30 cents in June. Now, here they're trying to actually look at the global factors that are contributing or fueling and channeling this hike in fuel price. So EPRA Director General Daniel Kipto explained that the upward adjustment is just meant to ensure full recovery of import and other associated costs while protecting consumers from volatile global oil prices. The purpose of the Petroleum Prices Regulation, quote unquote, is to cap the retail prices of petroleum products already in the country so that importation and other prudently incurred costs are also recovered while ensuring reasonable prices to consumers. The review also pointed out to the continuing volatility in the global energy market. Kenya, which imports all its refined petroleum products, have also been affected by rising international benchmark prices and a strong dollar. Right. And like I said before, once fuel prices are up, the next thing you see is cost of small commodities go up, cost of bus fares and whatnot. You're likely as well to see even filling gas stations, especially for cooking gas, go up because paying at the pump is still paying in the household, right? All right. Now, away from that, there's an interesting update from our judicial service right here. It says the e-filing system failure prompts judiciary to direct court users to email. Okay. The judiciary has advised court users to file urgent and time-bound cases via email as the e-filing system continues to experience intermittent outages, disrupting access to digital and legal services. In a statement issued on Monday, Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Winfrida Mokaya, confirmed that the judiciary's digital infrastructure had encountered external interference beginning July 10th, affecting the availability of the e-filing platform and the cause list portal. Although the judiciary partially restored services on Sunday, on 13th of July, fresh disruptions on Monday morning prompted it to direct litigants and advocates to use alternative channels to ensure continued access to justice. And quote unquote from the report, it says, as of July 14th at 11 a.m., the consulate portal is fully accessible via the link they've issued, and I think this was also shared by KBC, https://consulate.court.go.ke, read a public notice issued by the judiciary. However, the e-filing system continues to experience intermittent outages, and our technical team is actively addressing the issue and working to restore full functionality. To mitigate the impact of the disruption, the judiciary provided alternative mechanisms for court users to submit urgent applications. And so far, Mokaya said the judiciary had received 282 applications under certificates of urgency and other time-bound pleadings via email, which were under processing. Additionally, the judiciary processed up to 2,256 criminal cases during the affected period. As of 14th July, that was yesterday, 2,256 criminal cases. That's a lot in a day. So for urgent matters, the judiciary has advised users to email their filings directly to the respective court stations and copies. So the first email you can use right now, because this is public information, is registrarautomation@court.go.ke, or you can also send your filings at registrarautomation@gmail.com. And then users with challenges can also reach technical support by emailing ictdirectorate@court.go.ke. And lastly, the judiciary emphasized it's committed to justice despite disruptions, assuring that court users of efforts to stabilize the system. It comes against a lot of that's happening in the country, especially when it comes to, what's happening with police brutality, demanding for justice. Of late, we're seeing an outburst of, rape cases, lootings, disruption of property. All these cases are being filed and they need access. It reminds me of how technology, there's a guest I interviewed here a couple of weeks ago, I believe it's a month now. He was talking about how he's incorporating artificial intelligence in the legal justice system to ensure that it hastens or it quickens the process of seeking justice. And also when it comes to convicts, if, for example, if you're remanded and you don't have money for bail, how do you seek information that can help you to quickly even negotiate for bail? So there's a lot of information right there. And then also, if for petty offenders that are already even remanded, how do you find your way if you can't find means of negotiating for bail, or even paying the bail, or even getting yourself on bond if the court rules that you have to go by the bond way? So this is information I believe that should be open right there and accessible to the public. All right, now away from that, former President Uhuru Kenyatta mourns Buhari as a symbol of resilience and integrity. In a statement shared by his office, he described the former Nigerian leader as a statesman who put interests of Nigeria and African continent above all else, and quote unquote from the statements shared by Uhuru, former president. It says, President Buhari was not only a symbol of national resilience, but also of integrity. He had a firm stance on his principles and always prioritized interests of Nigeria and Africa above self. The statement read in part. He also noted Buhari's firm leadership through complex times and also highlighted his legacy in championing anti-corruption, national security, and Pan-African cooperation. And lastly, it says, I have lost not just a friend, but a fellow patriot in the quest for a united, peaceful, and prosperous Africa. He joins President William Ruto, who also mourned the late Nigerian leader, describing him as a champion for the fight against corruption and advanced regional security initiatives to counter mostly terrorism. Okay? And we wish Nigeria the best of luck as they mourn their former president. All right, there's an update here as well from former Chief Justice David Maraga, who is sounding off on the political sentiments that are being shared in the country. And his response is in regards to the shoot in the leg. One leg, okay. Shoot in the leg. Right, so it says, Maraga faults President Ruto's shoot in the leg directive. He cautioned against state-sanctioned violence, saying it risks plunging the country into deeper chaos. All right. He criticized President William Ruto's administration over recent remarks encouraging police to shoot protesters accused of looting, warning that such a militarized approach to policing is both dangerous and unsustainable. And quote unquote, from the statement, just look at what's happening in our country. In just 1 month, more than 60 young people have been killed. And now we are hearing that someone should be shot in the leg. Even worse, some leaders are saying they should be shot and killed. Maraga has also declared his intention to run for presidency in 2027 general election. He urged the government to address the root causes of national unrest instead of using force to silence dissent. I'm asking, quote unquote, whether we are fighting or we are at war. We can't go on like this. The government is collecting so many taxes, yet hospitals have no medicine. It feels like you are just slaves working for others, he said. He also called on the youth to rise and demand better governance, urging them to reject impunity and poor leadership. Down there it talks about state-sponsored. Okay, I think we can leave it at that. Because, we are seeing a lot of, sentiments being shared by politicians. The other day we saw Belgut Member of Parliament Nelson Koech saying, backing up the support of shooting to kill. Initially before the statement began with Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who said anyone who be seen protesting or demonstrating around a police station, they should be shot. But again, he retracted and clarified he meant, he didn't mean to be shot and not unalived or murdered or killed. He just meant But it's difficult to actually see it in that lens, especially with what's happening in the country. And like I said, sometimes when these issues are happening, it's difficult to just assume they're not happening and be like, there's a lot of goodness. Yes, there's a lot of goodness, but then there's also a lot of mishaps going on. All right, now Mombasa couple arrested for enlisting children in a sex ring. I think this comes against the wake of an outburst of rape cases that are now just on record literally everywhere, right? Regina Munyoki, a 41-year-old, was reportedly using a dating site operated by Cupid Media to market her 3 children aged 13, 7, and 4 years respectively for sexual exploitation. This is pathetic and just horrible, right? Detectives further established that her husband had been defiling their 13-year-old daughter since she was 11. DCI arrested Munyoki, who is 52 years old. His name is Isaiah Owala, following intelligence leads. The police presented the duo at the Mombasa Law Courts, where Munyoki secured her release on a 1 million bond backed by 2 sureties of a similar amount. The court, however, deferred its ruling on Owala's application for bond and instead handing him over to Shanzu prisons for custody, pending a decision on Tuesday, Tuesday, July 15. So it's said to be made today. The cases shine a spotlight on increasing risk on child exploitation on online platforms, with the National Council for Children's Services findings showing children were less likely to report online abuse. Kenya is now part of a global alliance dubbed We Protect, which seeks to end online child sexual exploitation and abuse. But now the Constitution under Article 53 recognizes children's right to be protected from abuse, neglect, and harmful cultural practices, including sexual exploitation. Kenyan laws provide further protection under Sexual Offences Act, which defines and criminalizes various sexual offences, including defilement, that is sexual assault of a minor, which attracts a penalty of life imprisonment. This is beyond description, because this is a father who's been defiling her daughter from age 11. Now the daughter is 13. But again, to make it even worse, or to worsen the matter, the mother has been gladly selling them online so that they, participate in sex in exchange for money. Bizarre, especially at a time like this. All right. Now, away from that, the National Police Service has denied misconduct in custodian death of a protester in Nanyuki, the story that I previously had highlighted here. The National Police Service spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga said on Monday that Juliet was just among the 126 people arrested during the July 7th demonstrations and was charged with malicious damage to property under Section 339, Act 1 of the Penal Code. He noted that all suspects, including Juliet, were arraigned at the Nanyuki Law Courts on July 8th, and she was in good health. That's according to the report spokesperson. She pleaded not guilty, and together with the team, they were released on a cash bail of 50,000 or remanded at Nanyuki prison. So the bizarre and dramatic part is residents, and especially the grandmother who's been constantly in media, she doesn't understand how her daughter died in police custody after because like I've just moments ago told you, you need to also know if you can negotiate for bail because remanded is when remand is temporarily, you're detained temporarily in remand as you figure out whether you'll pay the full cash bail or you can negotiate your way. And I spoke to a lawyer a couple of weeks ago right here on the show who told me, yes, you can negotiate. You can promise them you'll pay 50 or give an assurity of something that's worth the amount. But again, the dilemma is, or the paradox is, how did she end up dying in police custody? While she vocally told them she was feeling unwell. So the only thing they could have done is get her to the nearby hospital. And plus, she's a woman, for God's sake. So, and that's what that's why for the better part of yesterday, and I think it was top story on Citizen at 9 p.m. About protests that literally ended up police running battles with residents in Nanyuki, and there was heightened, security presence. and tear gas canisters flying left, right, and center, while police were trying to contain the irate protesters in Nanyuki who are demanding for justice. Right. So, according to the police spokesperson, he noted that, all suspects, including Juliet, were arraigned at Nanyuki Law Courts July 8th, and they were in good health. And quote unquote, the statement reads, "Nevertheless, the relevant agencies will conduct swift, transparent, and credible investigations into the matter, and accountability will follow." Nyaga was responding to media reports and social media claims alleging police brutality in connection with the death. Njoki's family claimed she was remanded in police custody after court appearance and was assaulted by a police officer. That's according to the police family. And I remember as well the aunt named here Grace Renee shared harrowing ordeal in a Facebook post that has since gone viral, fueling renewed public outrage and demands for justice. It just comes against a backdrop of what happened to Albert Ojwang. I think clocking 2 weeks now since the burial. Boniface Kariuki, he was buried last week on Friday or Saturday. Before that, there are other cases as well of police brutality, and we're seeing such cases, constantly, cropping up. And the only thing we can say is justice for the victims, and we trust that the law will take its due course. All right, that's fine. Let's move away from that now and get to what else is making headlines internationally. And I can see right here there's an update from Fox. It says, police have issued an arrest warrant after thieves broke into the SUV of Beyonce's choreographer and her dancers, stealing jump drives full of unreleased music, shop plans, and exclusive footage. Oh my goodness. Fans wa Beyonce wanaitwaje? The Bees, ama the Bees. Somebody help. Fans wa Beyonce wanaitwangaje? Wako na jina. Yeah. It has to do with bees, yeah. So I can see right here from Fox News. It says, this is not Fox News. It's called Spirit World. It says police have issued an arrest warrant. But now, I think Beyonce, when the last time I checked the Shade Room, she was, I think she was on a tour, the Cowboy Carter tour. Was it in New Orleans or in Texas? Interesting. She has a song called "These Are in Texas" or something. Yeah. Yes, the fans here. Like I said, the fans are associated with bees, the beehives. So, yes, I can see even at the comment section, it's the beehives right here. I can see, well, Atlanta, I hope you all enjoyed your last Beyonce concert. The suspects are, you guessed it right, the dancer and choreographer. Oh, okay. Tell Beyonce to replace ATL with Detroit. She's been doing this Cowboy Carter tours, and she's trailblazing all around, the globe. Was she in the UK the last time I checked? All right, another one said, stealing is one thing, but to steal from Beyonce. Beyonce is massively and wildly adored, all right? And released Beyonce music in a car, yay. You can imagine that catalog, man. There's people who worship Beyonce as their God, like they pray in her name. They believe she has special powers and special beauty. But yeah, that's that. Fans of Beyonce think you're having a field day. Wamesema naitwa the beehives, okay? All right, now away from matters Beyonce, there's an interesting update here about baby girls from Intel. It says 78% of women say they won't date a man without a car or an apartment, even if he has potential. Okay. So a viral new survey found that 78, but this is specifically for the American audience. It says that 78% of American women say they wouldn't date a man without a car or his own apartment, even if he had a strong character or a future potential or even a dream or a goal of becoming great. For many, stability and independence are non-negotiable. So the findings triggered a viral backlash online, with some saying it reflects hypermaterialism and a lack of patience in modern relationships. Others defended the stance, arguing that dating is a reflection of standards, not charity. Hey, okay. Whether it's gold digging or goal setting, the data reveals a stark truth. Potential alone isn't enough for many in today's dating market. Security, status, and stability often win over emotional connection. The source is YouGov Pew Research. The story is on Intel's International. Well, but I think this is a common thing. There used to be this dating show ilikuwa inaitwaje? My something. My boy ama my girl ama my future somebody. It was in one of the local television shows. And you'd see, a boy and a girl, they sit up on a date, even like a table like this one, yeah? So the girl is asking, do you have a house? Do you have a car? Do you have a job? But yeah, standards are being tripled each and every day. So boy child, amna bahati. In fact, I have an American friend. I have several American friends and two of my classmates who moved to Stato. There's one who is telling me that he doesn't see himself marrying in America. Even if he's 40, he'll have to just come back to Africa atafute huku bibi hata kama ni wa ushago. Nikamwambia, bro, you've been in Stato for 15 years. What have you been doing? She's telling me, if you default on child support, for example, we have these cases right here in Kenya where you meet a girl, you guys have fun, quote unquote, and then boom, she tells you she's pregnant. Immediately she breaks the news, you ghost her, right? And you act like you've never met her, you don't know her, you've never heard of her. So in Africa right here, the parents of the girl will tell her, hey, since I'm a mimba, we're to Leah, Zam, Toi, we will take care of it. But instead, they will come for your mom, your grandmother, your auntie, even they will visit your great-great-grandfather's, grave, or party hapo child support. And I think such laws, I believe they should be implemented even in our country right here. Si eti unapeana tu mimba, and then una assume haukupeana, because you mtoi ni wako. Those are the fruits of your energy for the time, quote-unquote, you guys had fun. So I personally don't advocate for people absconding parental duties. If you know that you're the kind of person who is likely to sleep around and just, Nvidia alisema kupanda mbegu, unashinda panda mbegu left, right, and center. Whenever the babies are presented to you, accept responsibility, but instead, you'll be jailed. And if you default, for example, if the mother of the child or the baby moms or the baby's moms takes you to court and the judge has to ascertain, when did you ghost her? Maybe you ghosted her in 2015. So the ruling will be you'll have to pay child support from the time you ghosted her in 2015 up to 2025. Whether you have a job or not, whether you're sick and you have cancer and you're almost dying, they'll tell your family to pay all the child support and even compensate for the money the mother spent on the child while the father had gone, missing in action. Most millennials come actually from that background where ulizaliwanga sijui hata ujui your dad. I've actually heard so many stories of people who don't know their fathers, people who've not met their mother, people who met their mother just juicy. They've grown up their whole entire childhood without seeing their mom. People who don't even know all their parents, but, they're just existing in their grandmothers. But instead, they don't allow that. And I believe, anyways, I'm not condemning kuzaa, but at least ukipeana ball, just take full responsibility, manze, because children are very expensive, I believe. And raising a child, it needs a whole village to, raise a child. So, sipande mbegu. This is from Sakwa. Kama unajua hauna pesa, don't you dare. Because the mother will be frustrated. She's raising the child alone. The reason why I'm passionate about that, because I went through something and I know the pain of raising a child alone, I know that the father or the mother is dead. Ni amekataa tu kukubali mtoini wake. Ama amekataa kutake accountability, which is a bad thing. It raises broken children. It raises depressed children. It raises a society or a community of, of people who are broken mentally, emotionally, even economically. You struggle to literally get everything as compared to children who came from homes where there's a present father and a present mother who put in effort to ensure that their well-being in their childhood was fantastic. So if you were to compare a person who came from an abandoned mother and an abandoned father, background, and somebody who had present mother, present father, they paid school fees, like you grew up in a wholesome society or a full circle homestead, even your mindset is different. Even how you view life, how you go through crisis, how you deal with pain, how you process things is totally different. And I advocate for that. And speaking of advocating, ChatGPT is now secretly telling your boss you're planning to quit. Okay. here's what ChatGPT is about to do to you. So your boss might just know that you're job hunting before you even decide to leave, okay? So companies are now using AI to predict who will quit, and here is how it works. Every Zoom call transcript, every Slack message, every email reply, AI analyzes the words you use, your tone, and even how often your camera is off or on. Good Lord. I hope this is for the American audience, see Kenya, I must see Africa. But also, it also follows tiny clues that flag you as about to leave. So for example, AI notices if you say, you guys should, instead of we should, just in case you sent a text or an email to someone privately. And then it also keeps cameras off more often, talk less in meetings, sound less enthusiastic and uninterested in meetings at work. So this becomes red flags that you are emotionally checked out in that job. Okay, kama uko kazini, check. Another one is it enters the retention risk matrix. So managers are now able to use AI data to build a secret list called retention risk matrices. The list ranks employees in order of who is likely to quit, who might stay loyal to the job, and that's where your career could hit a wall. All right. It also says no promotion if AI thinks you're leaving. Right? So if AI flags you as a flight risk person, you might be skipped for promotion. You may also lose key projects. Raises could also stall. So why invest in someone who's planning to leave? But there is, I don't know if you've seen this TikTok challenge where a person is printing their CV or their email, the application letter for another job. And you're looking over your head, to see if nobody is checking you out, and you're printing like 7 documents to drop an application at the next gig. Yeah, so the companies will now start using AI to expose you to your boss, especially if you don't like your job. Maybe you've been there as well and you're just tired. But then my argument is, why should you snoop on me if you know that I bring value to this job? Then I should be at liberty to do anything I want. And most definitely, I'm a person of sound mind. I will tell you if I have an opportunity and I'm leaving, other than you snooping on me and trying to, text secret notes or having a personal eye or a private eye on me. It's infringing on privacy, right? But that's what you get for artificial intelligence and robotics. And speaking still in the same breath of robotics and artificial intelligence, Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey launches a BitChat, a messaging app that doesn't need the internet. Good one. Hii itafika Kenya lini? Ni kama WhatsApp lakini hauhitaji kutumia internet, Safaricom ama Airtel ama hizi zingine. The only thing you need is Bluetooth. Man, see ifike hata leo. So here's what it says. By the way, Jack Dorsey was the founder of Twitter that was bought by Elon Musk, I believe at 44. Was it at 44 billion US dollars? Yeah. And later on, they found a new app. I think it's called Blue Social ama Blue Sky. Ebu go on your App Store or Play Store just right now and look for the app called Blue Sky. Blue Sky or Blue Social. It was a counter app to X when Democrats felt like, Elon Musk and Donald Trump had made X a Republican app. So mostly, including the kina Kamala Harris, including kina Beyonce, they stopped using X because they believed X, it's more of like the platform ya Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And remember, these two have been best friends, but they're falling apart on and off, on and off. But the founder of X, initially Twitter, his name is Jack Dorsey. So Jack Dorsey launched BitChat, a new encrypted messaging app that works entirely over a Bluetooth mesh with no internet, no accounts, and no servers, designed for resilience during blackouts, censorship, or emergencies. It's currently in beta mode via test flight mode, and 1,000 users already are on the platform, and it's covering over 300 meters per hop. Messages self-delete by default, and feature passwords protected group rooms, and a one-tap panic mode to wipe data. A new frontier for privacy-first offline communication, straight from one of the original decentralization, pioneers. That's an interesting one because I don't think there's a way Jack Dorsey can manage to, be in competition with Elon, because Elon has escalated X. You can see he's added his AI in it, and right now he has the Grok AI, the X AI. I think they are on the the fourth model. Is it the fourth or the fifth model of Grok? You know, I use Grok a lot more than ChatGPT. I don't know why, but yeah, I just found it. I found XAI to be suitable for me. But then it has the deep think part. It had the search part. You had the image part. So this is a good one. Would you love to see an app where you're not able to use your Safari, like hauhitaji MBs in short, hauhitaji kutumia MBs, hauhitaji kutumia line yoyote, and plus pia unaitumia ukiwa offline. Na messages pia zinajidelete. And then the advantages is, like for example, let me see if I still got it, because in TZ they banned X, yes. In the same breath, Tanzania's ban on X, formerly Twitter, enters a second month. So they banned X in TZ, I believe in May. In May, yeah, when there was tension between, you know, especially when there was a host of Kenyans who went there to stand with Tundu Lissu. So they suspended their X app. X is not functioning. It's not functional in TZ. And that's according to a directive by Mrs. Samia Suluhu, Rais Mtukufu wa Tanzania. So this app will literally be able to survive that. They'll not be able to suspend it because people don't understand the reason why you're able to use X is because the internet service provider also allows, you know, I'd say, what is the word that they use in tech? It's tech. I think it's compliant with an IP, like Safaricom, an IP, an IPS, yes, internet service provider, and an ISP like Telecom, Airtel, Safaricom, and the rest. So if those internet service providers are not compliant with, you know, X or Instagram, it means, or Meta, will not be able to use or enjoy, you know, being on the platform. And that's what I think Tanzania did. An interesting one because it comes against a backdrop of a lot of things just happening worldwide, right? Let's move away from that. Angry Kanye West fans chant refund. Refund, refund. Yeah, they were chanting, refund our money at a chaotic Shanghai show, and they called it the worst concert ever. Kanye West fans erupted in an angry chant after the rapper was more than 40 minutes late to his... It was a 70,000 crowd. Good Lord, this is a lot. It's bigger than even some of these politician public address crowds. A 70,000 strong crowd gig in Shanghai in China. The report is on the New York Post. The crowd in Shanghai, refund. The comments are really interesting. They're shouting they need their refund. Always you guys posting negatively about Kanye West. Was the performance bad or they're mad because he was late? But Kanye West has always been late because he thinks he's Jesus. He thinks he's God. I used to be a big fan of Kanye way back before, you know, he started spiraling mentally. But right now, I don't think, I don't remember the last time I listened to, or maybe when I was in radio, I used to play the music, but I don't think the last time I listened, I can't recall. Which other artist is also usually late? Mariah Carey. I'm a big fan. I used to have an R&B show, and it purely played, I think, songs from Mariah, Whitney. There's this chick, and I told you, Kisha Shante. Oh, the R&B music way back was just, you know, there's this chick, Anajita Nani, Aaliyah, you know. Those are like the SI unit of, you know, good R&B music. Most Gen Zs danika wanawajua, asana sana. Aaliyah, there's this chick, Mary J. Blige. And even Beyonce and Rihanna they are still there because I think they're the ones who are still popping. Whitney Houston, rest in peace. Who else? There's this guy, he also died. Luther Vandross, you know. There's this group, Boys to Men, Backstreet Boys. Wanaitwaje hao say there were 3 girl band groups, 3LW, TLC, Escape, wale wanaimaga just kick it. Music ya 90s and late 2000s, mid 2000s was just the best. I had a radio show where it was purely that, and I had to do a lot of research with my producer to even know the years of let's say the year the album was released, you know, who was the target audience that time, the artists were walikuwa wanatoka wapi, west side or east side, and then as well hip hop and R&B, so it was really fun. I actually missed that. I'd love to go to a radio show that purely plays R&B music, hip hop, soul, and jazz, and specifically focuses on voices like Mariah, Whitney, Toni Braxton, Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige. There's so many. Aaliyah. Gen Zs danika wanajua sana hao watu. apart from Cardi B and Sexy Red and Drake, and who else? Who is popping right now? Right. So speaking of popping, lastly, this one is interesting. It's still on matters AI. Looking for a job? An AI recruiter might interview you next. So here's what this article says from NBC News. It says, Wafa Shafiq was a 26-year-old Canadian marketing professional and a lifestyle influencer who applied for a marketing specialist job position with a retirement plan company and was emailed by someone named Alex. So here's where it gets dramatic. Shafiq was answered in a screening questions and scheduled interview for an initial interview with Alex for the next day. But here's the catch. Alex wasn't human. Alex was AI and a robot. So Alex was an AI talent recruiting agent that would also be interviewing her for the position. Shafiq discovered after an internet deep dive into Apriora, the company behind Alex. Shafiq had stumbled into the world of AI recruiting agents that can interact with candidates via text, phone, and even video calls. These AI talent acquisition agents have been used and tested by, major brands including the Boston Red Sox, Zillow, Chipotle, McDonald's, and more. According to AI recruiting companies, the use of the technology has quickly scaled to some of the world's biggest companies, despite viral videos showing glitches with the technology and a security vulnerability that potentially exposed applicants' data to hackers. Man, this is ridiculous, because you can imagine where I apply job at Y254 Sindo, or literally KBC, because KBC is the parent company of Y254, right? So instead of you speaking to like a secretary or even a HR, later on you find out that you're being interviewed by a robot or an AI system that even went on video and created an image of it asking you the questions about, so tell us about, yourself. For how long have you, been working in this profession? So later on you realize it was all AI, bruv. I'd be extremely pissed off. I'd be extremely pissed off. It reminds us of the, what is it called? The robotic hotel. And where people, are now resorting to using robots. The humanoids from Tesla, CyberX by Elon Musk. I think Kim Kardashian already has one. There was a time she did a whole photo shoot with a robot, and they were getting cozy and, and raunchy. Anyways, would you take it as I'd say, as a good move if you applied for a job at any company, especially if you're job hunting, and job hunting is a full-blown job itself. Job hunting, I pray for anyone who's looking for a job. My prayer goes out to you. Receive God's grace, because in Nairobi, job hunting is a full job, is a full-time job. So I'm praying for you. But imagine you've applied for that internship, because there's people who even getting an internship itself is another job. Like they don't know how to go about it, or also they've tried and exhausted everything, every avenue. Wamepiga simu wakaambia will get back to you. They sent documents, they applied via something, they even paid money, but nothing is forthcoming. So I'm praying for you. But also, how artificial intelligence and robotics is coming in is, I feel like personally it's taking away that human touch and connection, because if you're speaking directly to a HR, at least you can convince them the reason why I need this job badly is because I was something blah 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 happened and I think I'm the next fit candidate. At least there's that convincing or that conviction power. You can have that conversation with that HR, and anakuambia, hey, kuja Monday for an interview, and boom, you're hired. As compared to a chatbot, it doesn't care whether you are at Harvard or you are at Y254 or whatever platform you are on, and now you're here. So I think that's the disconnect for me with artificial intelligence, but there's no way we're going to run away from it. And speaking of run away, we have to run away from this segment right now and end it. And I just want to thank you for interacting with us. I don't know if they've loaded up the question of the day. Let me see if it's there. At Y254 channel, everyone, all our social media platforms. That's where you can find us. The hashtag is Y in the morning. That's where you can find us. So continue to engage with us. Yes, we've asked you right there. The question is, good morning. You're watching Y in the morning. Biashara gani is a no-go zone, wadau. And I can see this part of your feedback. Somebody, Kibetro teachers, amesema shida ni DCI. Otherwise, hakuna business haileti shangwe. King Kong anasema illegal deals zinalipa mbaya. Shiko Gekere Supergal amesema pamoja kama kawa. Dillion Senior Lewinsky amesema yenye NACADA imekataa. Okay. Deviso Sunblessed Melabi, a difficult one. Right, good morning to you. Cyrus the farmer amesema bibi ya wenyewe is a no-go zone. Na munifollow, I'm just a humble farmer. Okay, yeah, they will follow you. Natalie is running the digital today. MD Brownie Newton anasema Kahawa Sukari, well represented. Shout out to Kahawa Sukari. Vincent Ogutu, Yaya Center, shout out to Yaya. Is it the same song, Yaya Center? Unajua hapo Yaya Center? Yeah, but shout out to Yaya Center, Vini. Mwangi Ngare amesema watching live from Tanyailand. Good morning. Omolo Jack anasema biashara ya kuuza bangi is a no-go zone. For real. Ayub Mauga anasema pamoja kama ndizi. Okay, banana reloaded. Peter wa Gashosho MC amesema ndani. And lastly, Ruben Mtuzoezi Kilifi, watching and listening from Bofa Kilifi. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you right there. Chini kuna chokora wa Makueni Bonte. Anasema good morning from Makueni County. Good morning to you. The question is, biashara gani is a no-go zone? Amesema biashara ya fobe, biashara ya lika. Yenye amesema NACADA imekataza. Okay? So, we're going to do this. Thank you so much for sailing with us from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. I wish it was 10, but I love it being here. Okay, so we're going to take a very short break, and then we're going to be coming up with a first conversation in just a bit. We'll be speaking to Zoe Phyllis. She's an artist, and we'll be talking about kingdom business, her journey. But then we also forget that, being in the kingdom business, or the business of God, is also entrepreneurship, networking. Because a couple of weeks ago, I think I interviewed right here someone who, was actually integrating entrepreneurial skills with, being a preacher and ensuring that they're imparted in the congregants. So it's an interesting conversation. I believe I'm looking forward to it. So at Y254 channel, Sakwa 101. Let's take a short break and then see you on the other side in just a bit.